Good morning. Happy Friday. We've made it. Got me and Miss Baby Squish here. She was taking a nap, but I had to move her, so now she's wide awake. She's happy. So, yay. Hello, Gabby. How you doing? Yes, Super Baby's in the house. Hello, Flash fan. I am doing well. Enjoying hanging out with Miss Madison here. She's watching the chat. I did. Yep. So say nice things, I guess. Anyway, I'm Alternate Jur, also known as AJ. We are going to continue our journey into the Aileen Wuornos trial. Hello, Tracy. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. We've had the detectives, crime scene analysis, or analyst, sorry. The firearms expert, which I kind of liked them. I guess she did not. Or she was bored. And so today we're going to get to the girlfriend of Miss Aileen Wuornos, which I keep saying and reminding you at the time that this happened, not back in 1992. This was seen as a very deviant lifestyle, and they used this, I thought, kind of against her. The defense is, to me, has started trying to kind of lay their foundation that Tyria was involved. And it is kind of suspect that her information was found in the victim's wallet for no reason that's been explained yet. Not by the defense and not by the state. So I don't know where we're going to go. Sorry, I can only wear one earphone when I have her with me so I can make sure to hear everything. And I don't know what to do with this one right now. Just kind of flopping all over the place. Thanks, Gabby. So we are going to listen to Tyria. I think her name is Tyria. It's spelled that way. We're going to listen to her testimony today. And no, I do not think she does look like Christina Ricci. But you judge for yourself. I didn't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not saying anything else about her looks. I'm just saying those two don't look alike. That's all I'm saying. Now, she looks different here in court than she does on my thumbnail. And the picture that I have of her on my thumbnail, I think I don't know when that one was. Yeah. Because in court, I don't know. She doesn't have all her teeth, but in the interview, it looked like she did. Or the picture that in my thumbnail looks like she does. So I don't know what doesn't matter. But yeah, we're talking about Christina Ricci because she played Tyria in the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. And they did make Charlize Theron, whatever, look quite a bit like Aileen Wuornos, in my opinion. They got that one down because I can tell you when looking for images of Aileen, you have to be very careful to not pick images of Charlize because they're close, very close. All right, this does have closed captionings, so yay, 2 pluses today. And I'm gonna probably be on mute because she's quite vocal today, and I can't I can't see my stuff. So I'm gonna hit play. Please let me know how the sound is.
Ma'am, would you tell us your full name, please?
Aileen Moore,
Ms. Moore, how old are you?
29,
And can you tell us where you're living presently in the state?
Pennsylvania.
And who do you live with?
My sister.
Was there a time that you lived in the state of Florida in the Daytona Beach area?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you if you know an Aileen Wuornos, also known to you as Lee.
Yes, I do.
Did you know that individual under any other names?
Yes, I did.
The name Blahovic, one of the names you knew her as?
Yes.
You know her as under the name Brody.
Yes.
Did you ever know her to use the name Cammie Marsh Green?
Yes.
How is it that you knew this woman that you described as Aileen Wuornos with the aliases that you told us about?
Objection to aliases.
Objection overruled. Ask the question if you can.
How is it that you came to know her?
I met her in a bar.
And did there come a point in time in your life that you and she formed a relationship?
Yes, we did.
How long did that relationship last?
About 4.5 years.
And could you describe the relationship to us in regards to your living arrangements, your working arrangements, things of that nature?
Well, we lived as lovers. And I worked quite a bit, and she worked as a prostitute.
During the time that you were living with the defendant, the type of employment that you primarily engaged in was what?
Hotel work.
Did you ever engage in prostitution?
No.
Objection overruled. Go ahead.
You earned a salary,
Yes.
went to work on a daily basis when you could find employment,
Yes.
got a paycheck,
Yes.
used that to support yourself and Ms. Wuornos,
Yes.
and shared in the household bills.
Yes, I did.
Leading, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question.
What did you do with the money that you made from working at the hotel?
I helped pay bills.
And did, during that period of time, you and Ms. Wuornos live in one location throughout your relationship?
Objection, leading, Your Honor.
Answer the question overruled.
You can tell us.
Can you repeat, please?
During the 4 years that you lived together, were you always in one place or did you move about?
We moved around a lot.
I'd like to take you back to December the 1st of 1989. Do you recall where you were living at that time?
At the Ocean Shores Motel in Ormond Beach.
And how long had you been at the Ocean Shores Motel on that occasion?
Approximately a month.
And did there come a time that you left the Ocean Shore Motel and moved to another location?
Yes, there did.
And can you tell us about when that occurred?
The 1st of December.
The same day that we're talking about.
Right.
Now, during that period of time, you see Aileen Wuornos on December the 1st, 1989?
Yes, I did.
And were you two living together at that time?
Yes, we were.
Where were you when you first saw her? And can you describe to us, were you both at home at the same time, or did you come home from work, or were you going to work, or was she coming back from the location?
No,
Explain that to us.
I was in bed. It was early in the morning when she came in, and I was still sleeping.
Did you have a job at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what time did you have to go to work?
I believe it was 9 o'clock.
And did you go to work on that date, if you recall?
Yes, I did.
Well, before you went to work, did you have occasion to wake up? Obviously.
Yes, Lee came in.
Okay. Can you describe to us what, if anything, occurred, or what, if anything, you spoke about when she came in?
Well, she came in and she had a car outside and said that we were going to move. And we moved that day
Where did you move?
to Burley Avenue in Holly Hill.
Now, when you moved, can you describe, if you would, what type of vehicle it was that you moved with? And first of all, was it your car?
No,
Did you ever see that car before that day?
no, hadn't.
Did you ever see that car after that day?
A photograph of it.
But physically, in Ms. Wuornos' possession or your own?
No, I never saw it after that day.
It's muted. No, Flash fan. She is not a defense witness. She is a witness for the state. Hello, Kelly. Yes, the early 90s. Puked Boone's Farm on her shirt. Hey, it was good times. It was good times. The 90s was a beginning of the 90s. It was confused. It wasn't sure. It was leaving the 80s and it was trying to find its own identity. And it wasn't sure. It wasn't sure. Maybe that's why everything got sad in the 90s. The music got sad, the clothes got sad. Sorry if you grew up in the 90s. No offense. Yeah, I wouldn't know Flash fan because I'm not a boomer. I just play one on YouTube. All right, back to the show.
Now, before you move, did you have to get ready to move? I mean, were you expecting to move on that day?
Not on that particular day, no.
Okay, were your bags packed and ready to go?
There was some things packed because we had planned on moving.
And can you describe to us what, if anything, occurred during the process of your moving?
We took all of our possessions and put them in the car and moved them over to Burley Avenue.
Did the defendant, Ms. Wuornos, tell you at that time where she had been during the
No,
morning hours before you woke up?
no,
Did she tell you about anything that had happened?
no,
Did she say anything to you about anything odd happening or anything horrible happening?
Objection, asked and answered, and leading, Your Honor.
Answer the question, Ken.
no.
And was the move pretty much a routine move from the Ocean Shore Motel to the Burley Avenue address?
Yes,
During that time, can you tell us how you got there? Did you use this particular vehicle we're talking about?
Hello, Sir Frank Otter. Hope you're doing well. Hope your weather is cooperating with you and you're not getting any more bad stuff out there. Yes, this is better than listening to Bev try to convict somebody. You know.
yes, we
Objection,
did.
leading, Your Honor.
And
Go ahead, answer the question.
who drove the car?
Lee did.
And can you describe how she was driving?
Just regularly driving.
Nothing abnormal about it?
No,
Objection, leading, Your Honor.
Can you describe it, if you will, please? Describe Lee Wuornos as you observed her after you woke up, before you moved to the Burley Avenue from the Ocean Shore Motel. As best you can, what do you recall that morning to be like, in your own words?
very busy getting stuff out of the motel room, moving it into the car. She seemed fine. She was able to help. You know, she helped me pack the rest of the stuff and we both packed the car.
Did she seem to you as if she'd been drinking?
Yeah, I knew she had been drinking. I could smell it on her.
Is that the fact that you could smell alcohol on her seem to be affecting her behavior?
Not really.
When you spoke to each other, did she seem to answer you back in a coherent fashion? You understand her speech patterns?
Leading
Yeah.
and compound, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
Was there anything about her actions that morning that you could tell this jury about that was out of the ordinary for the relationship that you and she had at that time of your life?
Not that I recall.
And then did you accomplish that move that morning and go to the Burley Avenue?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you do after you got to the Burley Avenue address? Did you unpack your bags?
No, because I had to go to work.
Okay. And did Ms. Wuornos say anything about the car, how she had gotten it at that point, or what she needed to do with it?
No.
How did you get to work?
I rode our moped that we had.
Okay. And who had the car?
Lee did.
Did you see what Lee did with the car? In other words, was the car still at the Burley Avenue address when you left, or had she already driven home?
Well, she had to take me back up to the Ocean Shore Motel to get the moped because it was still up there.
And did she drive you back from the Burley Avenue to the Ocean Shore?
Yes.
And during that period of time, did she have any difficulty driving?
No,
Did she tell you anything out of the ordinary about how the last couple of days of her life had been or the night before?
Objection, leading explanation.
Did you say anything about what had been going on, say, within the last 24 hours of her life?
no,
Now, did it come a point then that you took the moped and you went off to work?
yes, I did.
And how late did you stay at work that day, if you recall?
I believe I was working 9 to 5 at that time,
And after you got off work, where did you go?
to the Burley Avenue house.
At that time, did you see that same automobile again that you had used to move?
No,
Did you ever physically see it again after you went off, as Lee took you to the hotel, pick up the moped?
no,
When you got home, was there anyone present at the apartment? Was it a home or an apartment?
it was a garage converted into an apartment, so I guess it was,
Was anyone there when you got there?
I don't remember. I don't believe so.
Did there come a point in time that evening when you saw Lee Wuornos again?
Yes,
Can you describe how that came about?
I don't remember. I really don't remember if she was home when I got home from work or if she came in later.
Anything occurred when she came home? Out of the ordinary?
When later that evening, I know we were sitting watching TV, and she told me she had something to tell me.
Hey, can you describe how she was acting when she, before you tell us what she told you, where was she and where were you, if you remember? What were you all doing? Just watching
We
TV?
were sitting on the floor watching TV.
Okay. Were there anything unusual going on at that time, other than just sitting there in an apartment together watching some TV?
No,
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Can you describe her appearance at that time?
she seemed fine.
Is there anything particularly different or the same about her as when you had left her to go to work?
She was the same.
Same basic physical appearance?
Yes,
She told you that there was something that she wanted to tell you.
correct.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how that conversation began and what transpired?
We were sitting on the floor watching TV, and she just come out and said, "I have something to tell you." And I asked her what, and she said that she had shot and killed a man that day.
Did you say anything to her when she told you that?
And I didn't want to believe it. I was probably in awe.
Did you say anything to her, like, I don't believe you, or what, I don't want to use vulgarity, shitting me? I mean, what's going on here?
I'm
What
sure
are
I
you saying?
probably replied something.
Just ask questions.
Did you ask her anything about what she had just told you, that she had shot a man?
I don't believe I asked her any questions about it. I might have replied something like, "I don't believe you," or something along that line.
Did she say anything else at that point?
Later she was telling me that she had put the body in the woods under a piece of rug, and that she had dropped the car off up in Ormond Beach around John Anderson Drive.
Did she tell you that the man she had shot, she had taken his car, and that was the car you used to move with?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Overruled.
So Tracy, sorry, I was trying to look up to see if I could find anything. I don't see where she got anything. She didn't to testify. There's a couple things that say she was forced to talk to the police, and then she convinced Aileen Wuornos to talk to the police. This site says that she made several books and movie deals selling her story, and then there was some detectives that also made some deals. They resigned. I want to look into this a little bit further because it talks about the victim, Richard Mallory, and some things that he had done that could have went to her self-defense. So, but I want to look into it a little bit more before I say anything else, because I don't want to just rattle off some stuff here. So this is, and I've never seen this website before, so I just want to check it out a little bit. And Madison apparently agrees. I think she did. I think she did. Because her picture that's on my thumbnail, I believe it looks like she has all her teeth. So, yeah. And I remember white painter jeans, but I was in elementary school.
Did she tell you anything about the car in relationship to the man she had shot?
I believe she did at one point.
Was it your understanding, based upon what she was telling you, that it had been the man that had gotten shot, whose car you guys had been in that day?
Yes, it was.
Did she tell you anything about why she shot the man?
No.
Now, during that evening, as this conversation was going on, did you continue to watch TV?
Yes, I believe so.
Did the defendant continue to watch TV after she told you she just shot a man and had taken his car? You had been in it?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm trying to understand what is happening in that apartment, in that garage, as you're being told by this defendant that she shot a man. Can you just describe that in your own words?
We were just sitting around watching TV, drinking a few beers. It was
That's
a
when she told
typical evening.
Now, when you packed up to move to the Burley Avenue, did you pretty much know what kind of articles you each owned? You've been living together for how long at that point?
At that point, it was approximately 3.5 years.
And did Ms. Wuornos have any articles at that time, that evening, that were not something that you had seen before?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury how you noticed that, you made that observation?
Well, I knew that they didn't belong to us.
Okay, can you describe what you saw?
There's only a few things that I can really remember from the particular cars because she had given me a jacket and a scarf. And
Well, let's talk specifically about what you remember. Don't speculate. Try as best you can. What do you remember seeing, and what do you remember about that evening?
I remember a box with a bunch of papers in it.
Did you look at the papers at all, or see anything, or notice anything about them?
I wasn't really paying attention. She was going through them and she tried to show me a piece of paper and a picture of somebody and I didn't want to look at it.
Did she tell you that the picture was the man she had shot?
And I believe she did.
Were you able to see any type of name or any documentation or personal identification?
I remember seeing the name Richard on a piece of paper that she was going through.
Now, when she was going through these items, can you describe her demeanor? How was she acting?
Just normal, going through stuff, throwing things away and keeping things.
Kind of sifting through these articles, throwing some that she wanted, some she didn't want.
Right.
Did you see anything else other than just the paperwork she was doing?
I remember a suitcase and a big blanket cover. It was brown and tan.
Can you describe whether it was a man or a woman's jacket?
I believe it was a man's jacket. It was a members only brand.
Now, as she's sifting through these materials, she offers to show you a photograph of the man she told you she shot.
Right.
At that time, did she tell you anything else about what occurred between she and that man?
No.
Did she ever suggest in any way, or could you, by looking at it, could you observe whether or not she had been injured?
No, I saw no sign of injury.
In the morning when you left for work, when you first saw her, or in that evening?
No.
Was there anything abnormal about her? Interactions?
No.
You know what she did with the picture of the man she said she had shot?
And I believe that was part of the things that she threw away.
Man, let show you what has been marked for identification purposes, as states 00 for identification.
Council, you reviewed this last.
Right, that item has been previously provided and discovered to council in form of photographic copies.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That'd be rough part for identification.
Your Honor, for the record, it states 00 for identification. Ma'am, I realize that you can't see a serial number or a tag or anything on that car, but can you describe to the jury whether or not the vehicle exhibited states 00 for identification, when it is that you last saw a car looking like that was in possession of Aileen Wuornos?
It was the car that we used to move with on December 1st.
Now, can you describe anything that you recall about the car as you saw it in the possession of Aileen Wuornos?
I remember a tag that was on the front of it was a Gator tag. It said the Gators across it. And I knew it had tinted windows. I remembered that. I don't remember any other specific things about it.
Did there come a point in time when, strike that, Your Honor, with court's permission. Ms. Moore, how long did you remain living with the defendant after she told you she had shot this man on December the 1st, 1989?
Approximately a year.
At any time during the period of that relationship, as lovers, as roommates, as friends, did she ever advise you that the man she had shot had done anything to her?
No, she didn't.
Did she ever suggest that she had been raped by this man?
Objection asked and answered, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
Did she ever say anything?
No,
Did she ever give you an explanation as to why she had shot the man?
no,
Did you, during that period of time, talk about many things with her?
yes, we talked quite a bit.
Was this a relationship, a close relationship between you?
I believe it was.
And she never, ever suggested that the man she told you she shot December the 1st and used his car to move to the Burley Avenue had done anything to her on the morning of December the 1st, 1989, did she?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
You can answer that. Did she?
No,
All right, I don't like that question. I'm not defending her. A lot of people wouldn't tell, not even their closest person. That is something that women generally don't tell. So that does, him hammering that home doesn't mean anything to me. Just because it wouldn't be, if she didn't tell her that something bad had happened, that he'd done something to her like that, okay. A lot of people, like I said, just wouldn't. Didn't score points for me on that one. And yes, Adair, Christina Ricci is hotter than Tyria.
Back on December the 1st, 1989, did you know what type of profession Ms. Wuornos was using to earn a living?
yes, I did.
And during the period of time when you first met her and you began living together, did she have any other occupations as a mainstay of the way she earned a living?
No,
During that period of time, from the time that she told you that she shot the man on December the 1st, 1989, back to when you first met her, did she ever indicate to you that she had been beaten and raped and robbed by people that she was going out and prostituting herself to while you two lived together?
no,
Do you know if on December the 1st, 1989, Aileen Carol Wuornos owned a firearm?
yes,
Have you ever seen her with a gun?
yes.
Did she tell you why she'd gotten the gun?
She said it was for her protection because she hitchhiked.
Did you say what she would do with that gun if anyone messed with her?
I don't remember.
Do you see the defendant, Aileen Carol Wuornos, in this courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point her out for the record, please?
Stipulated, Your Honor.
Please, the court, I'd like the witness to identify.
Okay, proceed.
Ma'am, can you please point her out if you can, please?
She's sitting right there.
Can you describe what she's wearing?
Stipulated at the end of the council table, Your Honor.
Satisfactory report.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Aileen Carol Wuornos.
Stipulated again, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
May expire, counsel. Thank you.
Wuornos since June of 1986, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And from June of 1986 to December of 1990, you share a home.
Correct.
And because of that, you observed Lee on a daily basis.
Yes.
You got to know
Yes.
her. You knew her probably better than anyone else.
I believe so.
And you've already testified you knew she was a prostitute.
Correct.
And you knew that within a month of living with her, right?
Correct.
And you knew that she was a prostitute, as Mr. Moore pointed out, throughout the entire time that you were living.
Correct.
And you knew that at least 3 times a week she was prostituted.
At least, yeah, I'd say.
And you've talked about the fact that you share in some of the expenses of the home and things like that, that you work from time to time. In fact, during that 4.5 years, approximately half that time you were unemployed. Isn't that true?
I really don't know.
Well, there were numerous times when you were unemployed.
I wouldn't say new. There was a couple months at a time I would go without jobs.
And when you went those couple of months at a time without jobs, Lee supported you, didn't she?
Yes.
And she contributed to the household when you were working.
Yes.
Lee rarely told you much about work. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
And that was in part because you told her you didn't want to hear it. Isn't that true?
Yes.
You didn't want to hear it because you were jealous of her work. Isn't that true?
I didn't want her to do it.
You didn't want to share her with other men. Isn't that true?
That's true.
And from what Lee did tell you, life on the road in her job was in fact dangerous. She told you that, didn't she?
Yes.
And she did tell you that she'd been raped and beaten, didn't she?
It was before I met her that she had been raped and beaten, but
She did tell you that she'd been raped and beaten.
yes.
And she said that that had happened on more than one occasion.
Correct.
In fact, she said one time she was beaten so severely that you couldn't even recognize her face.
Objection, Judge, if we can establish when this occurred, hearsay.
Lay for the predicate, sir. The objection will be sustained to the question later.
While you were living with her, you recall her telling you of an occasion where she'd been beaten very severely.
Objection, Your Honor. If we can establish when this supposedly happened, and also it's hearsay.
Lay
Shall
for the
serve.
predicate.
Let me ask you this. She did tell you that nearly every single day that she was prostituting, somebody was rough or abusive with her, didn't she?
No.
She told you that people were abusive and mean to her in her work. Nearly every
Verbally.
day, at least one person.
Verbally.
She verbally abused.
Verbally abused.
Ms. Moore, you also know that Lee drank a lot, don't you?
Yes.
And that she drank most nights. Right? And while you didn't drink as much as she did, you drank beer just about nightly, right?
Whenever she would have it, yes, I'd probably drink a few.
Okay. You can hold your beer pretty well, can't you?
Sometimes.
But Lee, when she drank a whole lot, she would get kind of moody sometimes.
Yes.
And you could tell when she was drinking a lot, couldn't you?
Yes.
Because you knew her real well.
Right.
And sometimes Lee drank as much as even a case in a night, didn't she?
Yes,
And on a couple of occasions, she would go on a binge where she would drink that much for more than one day
correct.
with just a couple hours of sleep.
Right.
But during these times, Lee Wuornos never struck you.
No,
She never got physically abusive with you.
no,
You argued with her, of course,
yes,
as any roommate would.
right.
Overall, Lee Wuornos was very protective of you, wasn't she?
Yes,
She loved you, didn't she?
yes,
She said she'd do anything for you, didn't she?
yes, she did.
And she said this to you on numerous occasions. didn't
Correct.
She even said she'd die for you, didn't she, Tom?
Yes,
And she said that over and over again, didn't she?
I'm sure she said it more than once.
She in fact said it many times.
Objection, Your Honor, self-serving hearsay. I think the jury got the point. They had a loving relationship.
Objection to the statement, Your Honor.
Don't even ask questions, and you want me to sort these answers out or go, the objections,
No, sir.
okay? Go ahead.
It was in fact much more than a couple of times, wasn't it?
It could have been.
Do you recall giving the deposition this morning?
Yes, I did.
Page, please, counsel.
Page 159 and 160.
What day? We have a date.
159 and 160.
What day?
Oh, I'm gonna get you.
Talking about what was the deposition.
I understand. The deposition was given on November 22nd, 1991 at 1:15 p.m. Do you recall that deposition, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall that Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Knowles were present? at that
Yes, I
time?
do.
And do you recall that Mr. Moore was there as well?
Yes,
And do you recall being asked the question, and I'm talking about line 4, Counselor, and you recall also that she said she would die for you, and your answer was she said
Objection, Your
that.
Honor. Please, the court. First of all, it's improper, if it's attempting to impeach, it's improper. Witnesses answered the question. You don't read a deposition into the record.
If you were asked a question, you give an answer. If I ask an answer, it's wrong.
You recall the deposition.
yes, I do.
You were placed under oath.
Yes, I was.
You swore to tell the truth,
Yes,
just as you did here in court today.
correct.
You were asked the question, and you recall also that she said, referring to Aileen,
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection is overruled if he's reading a question, it appears to the court that that's what he did.
that is what I'm doing. And you recall also that she said, referring to Aileen, that she would die for you. Remember being asked that question?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember your answer?
I'm sure I answered it that she had told me that before.
No, your answer was,
Objection, Your Honor.
Just read the answer.
the answer, she said that throughout our whole relationship. She said that throughout our whole relationship too. So, you remember saying that?
No, I don't, but if it's there, I said it. And I'm sure she said it more than once.
She said that throughout your whole relationship, didn't she?
Okay,
4.5 years.
okay,
Now, you left Lee Wuornos in December of 1990,
yes, I did.
and you've testified that you gained this information about, that she had said she had killed someone nearly a year before.
Correct,
Is that correct? And in December 1989, she came to you and she said, I've got to tell you something, right?
right,
And that something was that she had shot and killed a man.
correct,
She also told you what she'd done with his car,
correct,
a car that you saw when she brought it to the motel.
right.
It's a Cadillac,
Yes, it was.
which she told you later she left in Norman Beach.
Right.
Now, Lee was intoxicated when she told you these things, wasn't she?
Yes.
And she was intoxicated the morning you first saw the Cadillac, too, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
But when she wanted to tell you something, and that something was that she had killed someone, your response was you didn't want to hear about it. Isn't that true?
That could have been what I said.
That is what you said, isn't it, Ms. Moore?
It could be. I don't remember my exact response, but I know I didn't like to hear about even her working, so I'm sure I didn't want to hear about something like that.
And nearly a year later, you decided to leave.
Correct.
And when you did decide to leave, it was in November of 1990, isn't that right?
I believe I left in the beginning of December.
December, late November. And that was after you had seen a composite drawing on the television. Is that true?
Yes.
And that was after you had seen a composite drawing, which you assumed was you,
Correct.
and you thought you were a suspect. Didn't you?
I really don't know what I thought at that time. I know I was scared
You were scared you might be arrested, weren't you?
because I knew I was driving the car when it happened, when I wrecked it.
And so you left.
Right.
You went up to Pennsylvania.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. You went to Ohio.
Yes, I did.
You later went to Pennsylvania.
Correct.
While you were in Pennsylvania, law enforcement people contacted you, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
And you were taken to a motel where you spent the night with an officer.
Correct.
And the next day, you heard from some more officers.
Correct.
Bruce Munster was one of those officers.
Yes, he was.
Jerry Thompson was one of those officers.
Yes, he was.
And when you got to Volusia County, you met Mr. Horsegler
Correct.
and 4 other female officers.
Correct.
And you were put in a Daytona motel. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
You didn't pay for that motel, did you?
No.
And you were fed while you were there, weren't you?
Yes.
You didn't pay for your food, did you?
No.
You were allowed to get cigarettes, beer, right?
Correct.
You didn't pay for those either.
I believe I did buy those.
Okay. The other items, your food, your motel room, things like that, those were paid for by the law enforcement officers, weren't they?
I really don't know who paid for it.
But you know you did.
I know I didn't. Correct.
And you were in that room for several days.
Correct.
And while you were in that room, the law enforcement officers wanted you to contact Lee, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They wanted you to write her a letter
Correct.
so that she would call you.
Correct.
And they asked you to write a note and kind of told you the kind of things to put in it, right?
Objection, Your Honor. So, Judge Lee.
Answer it if you can.
I really don't remember if they told me what to write or if they just gave me the basic information on tell her to call you and give her the number. But they didn't sit down and
Oh,
say
they
write
didn't
these
write it.
exact words.
Right, you wrote the note.
Right.
But they wanted you to give her a number to call you,
Correct.
let her know where you were.
Right.
And you did that.
Yes, I did.
And you waited for her to call.
Yes, I did.
And of course, she did call, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
She loved you,
Yes, she did.
and you knew it.
Yeah.
And when she did call, the officers that were in the room, they were recording those phone calls, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Of course, they were doing that with your permission.
Correct.
You had signed a little statement saying they had permission to do that.
Correct.
They wanted you to ask the certain questions, didn't they?
I don't recall them as
Well,
specific questions,
okay,
no.
but they gave you ideas of what they led you in directions while you were having these conversations, didn't they?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall them occasionally passing you little notes suggesting that you work on her in this way, or when she's crying, you should hit her harder than, those kind of things?
I remember a few notes being passed, yes.
Do you recall a note being passed where when she started crying, that was a good time to get her to talk about
I really don't remember that, no. I remember it might have been said to me. I don't remember it being written down, but it could have been.
it. Okay. Oh, it might have been said to you. Was it in fact said to you, Ms. Moore?
Yeah, I remember hearing it.
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's gratuitous comments after a question.
It's all right.
And the things that they were doing, the hints that they were giving you as to how to talk to Lee, those were so that they could get Lee to say what they wanted her to, right?
I really don't know.
Well, you wanted Lee to say certain things.
I definitely wanted Lee to say certain things. Yes, I did.
You wanted Lee to make statements.
Yes, I did.
You wanted her to clear you, did you?
Yes, I did.
And in order for her to say what you wanted her to, you lied to her, right?
Yes,
You lied to her about why you came to Florida.
right?
You lied to her about who you came with.
Yes,
You lied to her about who was paying for the room.
right?
And more importantly, you lied to her about whether or not anybody was in the room with you
Yes, I did.
and whether anybody was taping the conversations.
Correct.
Of course, the reason you did these things was to clear yourself.
Yes, it was.
And that's why on 2 different occasions, you even suggested that you might kill yourself to leave.
I don't understand your question. Can you?
Well, you recall on 2 different occasions during these phone conversations suggesting that you might be suicidal over this whole thing.
I remember once saying that, why don't I just go kill myself?
And the reason you did that was to get Lee to say the things you wanted him to, correct?
I really don't know why I said it.
You did want her to make statements to clear you.
Yes, I did.
And throughout all the conversations that she had with you, she continues to tell you how much she loves you, right?
Yes, she did.
And that she'd do anything for you, right?
Yes,
That she would even die for you.
yes,
And she would surely want would want to do anything to keep you from killing yourself.
no, I don't know that.
Now, there were several times during the conversation when Lee said that she would take a fall for you, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to have to object. First of all, counsel that asking self-serving statements of this individual being offered for that purpose.
Your Honor, I would object to the speaking objection.
Objection, Judge.
Your section is noted, and I want to hear what he has to say, and then I'll sustain your objection. Are you making?
Yes, sir.
Sustain.
You were worried during these phone conversations that Lee might not clear you, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was very scared.
But clearing you to you meant more than just Lee saying you didn't have anything to do with the homicide, right?
Yeah, I believe that I needed her to say more.
You wanted her to say that you didn't do it and that she did all of it by herself.
That could basically be what I wanted, yes.
So her saying that you were totally innocent, that you didn't have anything to do with any of this, that wasn't enough.
No,
Eventually, Lee indicated that she was prepared to make a statement, right?
yes,
And after 11 calls over 3 days, you got what you wanted.
Objection, Your Honor. There's no predicate.
Sustain the objection.
There were, in fact, you were in that hotel room for several days, were you not?
yes, I was.
And there were at least 10 phone calls made, right?
I know there was quite a few.
And it was only at the end of those calls, on the last one, in which you got what you wanted. Isn't that true?
I believe so, yes.
Now, you had conversations and meetings with law enforcement officers after November of 1991.
After November of 1991.
let me help you. Sometime after you got back up north, about a month after you left.
Judge, I'm going to
Daytona.
object to counsel's gratuity of helping a witness. Also, Judge,
Yeah, just rephrase it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
all. Just rephrase it.
When you got back up north about a month later, you heard from Mr. Munster, didn't you?
Correct.
And at one point, Mr. Munster actually helped
Objection,
you
Your
get.
Honor, outside the scope of direct, but so far,
Sustained objection.
Your Honor, with all due respect, I think it goes bias and interest of this witness.
His objection was beyond the scope of direct, and I sustained the objection.
Yes, sir. May we approach the bench or at least make an argument outside the presence of the jury?
Jury, step to the jury room a moment.
The jury is out of court, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like to have Ms. Moore go for the argument.
I don't care if you're here. You have some objections, state it.
Your Honor, simply put, bias and interest is always an area subject to cross.
Are you would want to remove
If we could.
Mr. Barrett, you escort to the south.
The witness is out of court, Your Honor. Your Honor, this specific line of questioning has to do with the bias or the interest of the witness. It relates to, one, a movie deal situation that's been involved in this case, and everything relates to her.
You know, you're telling me something I hadn't heard before, because I was not reading all these newspaper accounts, not viewing television, and I don't know anything about a movie contract, and I hadn't heard from this witness.
Well, that's fine.
So, Tracy, Gabby just sent me a thing that said that she was given immunity to cooperate and get Miss Wuornos to confess. So it says then she called her at the jail several times, pretending to be concerned about her to also get her confess. But did you guys catch? So she wrecked the car, the Miss Moore did, up on the stand, the stolen vehicle. And then it was her in the composite sketch that was put out. So then that's why she panicked and wanted her name cleared, apparently, allegedly. It's all very strange. I don't know. She was in the car, so she was in Richard Mallory's car, so then you could be like, okay, fine. If you found some of her information in the car, great. But her information was in his wallet. So that's still not really been explained on how that got there. Did Aileen put it there? Obviously, Mr. Mallory did not put it there. I don't know. I think she may have known more than what she told. This article that Gabby sent me goes on to say that she's not given any interviews or appeared in any documentaries or films about Wuornos' life and crimes. She reportedly changed her name and moved to another state. So I don't know. But she's quite squirmy under she wasn't so squirmy under the direct by the state. She's been quite squirmy under the cross by the defense. So it kind of, I don't know, watching her under cross-examination, it's a different vibe. I'm trying to not let kind of things we maybe know now, or I guess we don't really know anything out more. So that's the wrong way to put it, but I don't know. I'm trying to not let my own suspicions get in the way, but she's very, her body language has changed, and I'm not a big body language person. You guys know that, but it's changed. I do think there are cues that people give off. I just don't know that they can be like, well, you blinked twice, so you're guilty. Those types of things. But yeah, she's uncomfortable for sure. So hope that helps.
As I was leading into that, and I think that that's an area which can be explored, exposed. bias and interest of this witness on behalf of who you're saying the things she did.
Judge, what counsel wants to do is go outside the scope of the record. He wants to try to bring in hearsay statements of what somebody told her would be objectionable anyway, what she did subsequent. Counsel wants to ask those questions. He can put them on through this witness, and in case in chief, he can establish the relevancy of it. Not through the statement of my limited scope, it was to that date, December 1st, 1989. What she did 2 years later is not viable under the scope.
Bias and prejudice, I agree with, and I also agree with the statement made by counsel.
Well, if I
My
respond to that,
understanding, the objection is beyond the scope of direct examination at this time. You have to freely call this witness.
well, Your Honor, if I just may respond to that for the record.
Certainly, I want you to protect your record in every
I
respect.
understand that. But what I'm suggesting is,
Protecting the record more than we try a lawsuit.
yes, sir. What I'm
It's time
suggesting is,
we start trying a lawsuit. Now, go ahead and make your suggestions.
Your Honor, whenever bias and interest,
I already ruled on that, I don't need any more.
whenever they are relevant, it can never be beyond the scope.
Haven't I ruled, you want me to, Madam Court Reporter, will you read what I said?
It's time we start trying a lawsuit here. Now,
Before
go ahead
that,
and-
where I sustained the objection. At least that's my best recollection of what I said.
I sustain the objection. It's beyond the scope of direct examination.
All right, anything further now for the record, or can we get on with the lawsuit?
Just one quick thing, Your Honor. Just so that we understand that Mr. Miller doesn't tread on the path that would violate Your Honor's order. The area relating to bias and interest pertaining to matters that happened subsequently to the time period that Mr. Moore spoke about, is Your Honor not allowing us to get into
We're
that?
talking about the direct examination that I heard from the witness this morning was in the courtroom. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to go beyond that, feel free to call any of the witness of your,
And those matters, even if they relate to bias or interest?
I have sustained that objection, I believe is what I said, was it not? You want to work for it again?
No.
I need to make sure we all understand what was said.
Okay, Your Honor. We would respectfully object on confrontation clause
That has
grounds.
well been noted that you've objected.
Thank you.
Bring the witness back and then brief.
Moore, on the way down to Daytona from up north, and I'm talking about before you came down to the motel that you talked about, you prepared a list of the places you lived with Ms. Wuornos over the 4.5 years that you were with her, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you also indicated on that list whether or not you were employed.
Correct.
And when you were in the motel room, you were in that room, one of the people that was in that room with you, one of the officers, was Rosemary Giansanti, is that correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Giansanti, in fact, escorted you into the courtroom today, didn't she?
I believe she was behind me. I believe one of the officers escorted me in.
Okay, but she was behind you and came in and sat down for a moment, isn't that true?
Yes.
And you've had many discussions with Rose Giansanti, haven't you?
Yes.
And you discussed testifying here today, Mr. Giansanti, haven't you?
No, I don't believe so. I just got in here.
I mean, on prior occasions.
About me coming down here?
Yes.
Yes, you knew I was coming down.
And you talked to her about the kind of things that you were going to have to testify to, didn't you?
I really don't remember.
Your Honor, in light of the court's ruling, I have no further questions to this witness.
May you redirect? Yes, sir. Please report. Ms. Moore, counsel for the defendant asked you about a composite that you had seen as one of the reasons why you left the defendant.
Correct?
Now, that composite was a composite of two women that had been seen in an automobile, totally unrelated to the Cadillac. Isn't that true?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
Now, let me ask this. When you were describing the automobile that you
Hey, Jess, how you doing? haven't talked to you in quite a while. Glad you're lurking. This is in the year of 1992. So I'm not sure if you were born yet. Flashman was not. I had just graduated high school the year before. It's been a while. But the audio's been really good. A lot better than nowadays, which is kind of sad. Kind of sad. So I was not a boomer. I'm not a boomer. I never will be a boomer. You were born when this trial was going then. It was the end of January. Look at you. So there you go. Yep, this was at the end of January in 92. She was arrested in January 91. And, or what day did I tell you? I don't remember. Maybe it was the beginning of January. Doesn't matter. I did write it down. No, I didn't. I lied. Yes, it hurts my soul too that he's so young. Back in my day. Yeah, you were you came into the world when this was taking place. I think I saw the movie came out in 2003. So they didn't wait too long. I mean, I guess 10 years. But yeah, so this is her girlfriend, which, like I've said, in 92, this wasn't, that wasn't accepted very well. And so they've been trying to tie her in. The defense has that she was involved. She got full immunity. And for testifying. But I don't know. They didn't come at her very hard, either side. So I don't know. I really thought this would have a lot more substance to it than it's had. I've been kind of let down a little. Yes, Madison. Madison's a little bored too.
You said wrecked. What car were you describing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that door is wide open.
I know it's wide open, but I'm having concern at the time further hearings are held.
Your Honor, please, court defense counsel has opened this door.
Your Honor, I object to the speaking objection.
Right.
Mr. Moore, I can speak at other times.
This is not an easy legal issue, but we have a longer two outside the jury's.
I think we do need to have the jury go out. If the jury What I'm concerned about now is I think we've reached a stage where we're on some very thin ice in regard to the William Rule matter, and I think we ought to hear it out right now. Because, even though doors have been open, I have been very particular. Testimony should be allowed until a ruling is made, so you know which way we're coming from.
Judge,
Yes.
my point, Judge, is counsel specifically asked questions to elicit the testimony regarding a composite and wrecking of another car. That defense counsel brought that out on his cross-examination.
I know I heard that, but that's what I'm saying. I think we need to resolve the Williams Rule problem right now before we proceed further. Because you see, you people have had the benefit of discovery, I have not. But I think we're skirting into Williams Rule because I believe it's going to be somebody else's car.
Judge, at a minimum, I would like to at least, counsel was very quick to let it be left in the jury's mind that maybe this witness had wrecked Mr. Mallory's car. He didn't bother to clear that up.
Why don't
We certainly have a right to clear that up.
Right now, and get to order what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Understood. No problem getting it all resolved right now, Your Honor, but.
Right. How long do you think it's going to take?
Well, Your Honor, we're going to.
We've already heard a number of, we had a hearing on the 3rd and the 10th. And is there going to be more than you want on the record? Or are you satisfied with the record that you have
We
received?
surely are not satisfied with the record at this point, Your Honor.
I was afraid of that. Bring the jury out. We're going to discharge it for 30 minutes. Then we'll bring them back in. I assure you we'll be ready to proceed in 30 minutes now. You got a J that in the record before, and if I have to keep going for rehearing after rehearing after rehearing, I'll prefer to rule it.
Well, with all due respect, it's not a matter of rehearing, Your Honor, it's a matter of the specific proffer the state needs to make in order for the
Right,
opportunity to so and so.
right, and that's what I want now.
Your Honor, with the court's
That's just
permission.
where the jury comes in.
Yes, Judge, two matters before the court. One is, as I understand it, Dr. Bordini would like to see Ms. Wuornos this weekend. He's indicated Saturday and Sunday. The doctor was requested by the state in order to assist the state in this case. Your Honor previously ruled, when the state originally requested an expert in this case, that Dr. Bernard was appointed as a court witness. My understanding of Your Honor's ruling, and Your Honor will correct me if I'm wrong, with regard to Dr. Bordini, was that his role was to assess the testing that was provided and assist the state. I did not understand Your Honor's ruling to be that the state was getting another expert in this case.
I cannot restrict the question.
Yes, that was the jury. They've showed them several times. So the state, he keeps bringing the podium back, the lectern, whatever it's called. He keeps bringing it back. So then when they try to like focus on him, they focus on the jury, and they have even like zoomed in on the jury. And then the defense guy, he gets up and he takes that lectern back, podium, whatever, back to like the center. They're having this little weird war, a position of that thing. I don't understand it. Just put it somewhere and leave it. But yes, that's the jury. And we know everything but their names at this point. They had to replace tie-dye clothes. Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, the lawyering has been awesome. The bickering has been fun. The judge doesn't want speaking objections, but then kind of allows speaking objections, and then they object over the speaking objection. So that's been kind of a little roundabout we've been on. But they have gone after each other harder than what they're allowed to today. So it's been interesting. And I hate to use the word fun in this is a capital punishment case. But it's interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Witness desires to examine must abide by that wish.
But my understanding was that his role was to assist the state, not in the role of a witness.
That's the way he has to do it. That's the way he'll do it.
If his role then is that of a witness, then we would request, because there's some additional matters that can come up with regard to jail records and so on, that Ms. Wuornos have an expert appointed from Volusia County. She does not have such an expert.
We've done it, now we're not delaying the trial.
Won't delay the trial, but just that we need somebody to
We
assist
want
us.
Dr. Crock,
We'd like Dr. Crock.
that's a shock and surprise.
Judge, the court noted previously, there are already 2 psychologists appointed to the bench. We would recommend to the court Dr. Umesh Matra, a well-qualified psychiatrist, medical doctor that might be able to assist the defense psychologist as opposed to just another run-of-the-mill psychologist.
Well, Your Honor,
I don't mean to state is what defense stage, but I don't think Dr. Crock, a third psychologist, I'm leaving it up to you, whatever you want to get.
Judge, let me just say this.
So we're not stopping the trial.
We don't want to stop the trial, but under the rule, we are entitled to an expert from Volusia County,
You are exactly correct. That will be granted, fair deal.
and we would request Dr. Crock.
So he can come around at nights or whenever it is, but I'm not stopping the trial for him to see this late date.
Again, Your Honor, we're not stopping the trial.
Does he use Gainsford or does he use Warner Park?
Either one, Your Honor. We'll figure
Wherever
it
you
out.
want it, but we'll be prepared to proceed,
Your Honor is granting the motion,
of course.
and I'll get you in order. Judge, Judge, respectfully object to the appointment of Dr. Bordini.
Second noted, I wouldn't be all surprised. I didn't think you'd let it get through without objection. And I made the order last week, I just had to sign it.
The second thing, Your Honor, relates to a proffer that we would like to make. As Your Honor heard earlier, there was an effort by Mr. Miller to ask certain questions pertaining to bias and interest on the part of the witness. There was an objection by the state as it being beyond the scope. The defense argued that bias and interest is always within the scope of cross-examination under the Confrontation Clause. Your Honor sustained the objection. And we'd like to.
Now, I think that we resolved the reason that I did that was because we were getting close to some other law matters that I told you we were not to go into it until we had the proper progress to make it. You all resolved that matter, right?
We resolved the other matter, the Williamsburg-related matter for now.
And how far do you want to go in this? We make a proffer now, and I'll make a determination.
This is a problem with regard to bias and witness as regard to this witness, independent of the other issue. This proffer deals with the fact that this witness was approached concerning movie deals regarding Ms. Wuornos. This witness was informed of that by law enforcement officers involved in this case. That this witness agreed to be engaged with that at one point. That the name of an attorney was given to her. That she called Agent Chansambi and asked the agent about this attorney, an independent attorney, not with the state attorney's office, relating to this movie issue. And it goes to the witness's state of mind, as the witness is testifying here. There's a lot I could say on it, but that's.
What time frame are we talking about? Talking to a movie actor or somebody or author or something? Wasn't ready.
We're talking about January 1991 through.
That's subsequent to all this, is it?
Yeah, but Your Honor, in earnestness and truthfully, as an officer of this court, I would respectfully, in abundance of caution, say that anything that they have in the court deemed relevant to bias, prejudice, including movie deals up until the day the witness testifies may.
Right, and I would be trying to let it in now that we resolved that other thing. I was skating on some ice, and to be honest with you, I got a signal from the council.
The other counsel,
But yes, we were there where I thought we were, and that's the reason I stopped the trial. Well,
They didn't know where we were.
We were, but you got it resolved.
Yes, sir.
I'm starting to lose where we are.
Just check with me, I'll let you know.
Right, so I think it's all right. I believe that it will be, we will let you go into that now, but it was skirting into this other area where I was very concerned and I wanted justice to be done correctly, and I think we're safe and you can go into it now.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say, the other area, I think we've all figured out, and we'll deal with this area.
That's right.
And then this would be in front of the jury?
Yes, sir. Is your clock right now?
Your Honor, we are. There's one of the things, so as we not lose an objection. Part of the reason there's been such an interest in a movie is because the defendant killed 7 men. If you'd only killed one.
Well, I've only heard about one.
Yes, sir.
That's all we're hearing about here
I realize
so
that.
far.
But proper redirect after cross on the movie deal would get into why there's a movie deal. We're not going to do that because we're getting to the Williams rule matter, but we'd like to reserve those type of redirect questions, right? For instance, why the composite was done, why it scared her when the composite was done, for a later time and not consider to have waived it. We're staying away from it now because of Williams rule problems. Even though we believe it should be admissible, we don't want to push the issue at this point because we can reserve it.
That's fine. I think that's fair. Is that right? All right for the defense?
That's all.
To reserve it, obviously, we would be.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, actually, just we would.
No, Flash Fan, she was not charged on the other ones, but they're going to bring those in at some point. I think that's what he was saying, because she confessed to 7. Richard Mallory was allegedly the first victim. So they bring the other ones in to get her convicted on this. I don't know if the movie that they're talking about is Monster. I don't know if the actor they're talking about is Charlize Theron. I mean, in 1991, she was arrested in 1991. To call her in 1991 is fast. I don't know. I know it can take a few years to get a movie together and make it and get it out. So maybe I guess we'll hear about it later, I guess. I don't know. I stopped that judge at a cute little judge. He does need a booster seat, as you guys have said. That's why he is trying to move everything along so quickly. He's shrinking.
Reserve rights to call this witness as well, and if you can tell her at the end to either leave us a number where she could be reached, or if that's unacceptable to Mr. Tanner, through us, we can have her reached through Mr. Tanner's office, or the defense can call her in our case.
All right.
Yes.
Then bring on the jury and the witness.
We have a witness, go ahead before the jury.
Oh, yeah, come on, the witness first, I think. Mayor Squire?
Thank you. Ms. Moore, we were talking sometime before about after you got back up north, after you had left the Daytona area, after you'd been in the motel. Do you recall that now?
Yes,
All right. And you recall about a month after getting up north, you heard from investigator Bruce Munson.
correct.
And it was in late January to mid-February when you first heard from Mr. Munson, wasn't it?
I believe it was the beginning, the earlier part of January.
The earlier part of January?
Yes,
And when he contacted you,
Judge, can we clear something up? Counsel's asked, and I'm going to interrupt you, counsel. First time this witness was contacted, you asking us to, when Mr. Munson first met her in his official capacity to investigate the case or in some other matter?
I'll clarify. All right. The first time that you spoke with Mr. Munson after you returned from Daytona, when you were in the motel, okay? That's when you spoke with him on the phone, and at that time, he suggested getting you a lawyer, right?
correct.
And that lawyer's name was Mr. Bradshaw.
Yes,
And that lawyer's purpose, he wanted you to talk to him about.
Objection, Your Honor, as to hearsay, as to what Mr. Munson told?
Your Honor, if you may, it goes to the witness's state of mind, not necessarily.
Right.
Got the proof of the charge. Go ahead. Based upon the conversation.
Yes.
What did she do?
Well, Your Honor, it's a court, and it's not hearsay.
Go ahead.
Okay. That in case someone came to you about booking movie deals,
right,
right?
right.
And Mr. Bradshaw was assisting Mr. Munster in his booking movie deals, right?
I know he was an attorney that Mr. Munster had spoken with,
Right. And Mr. Munster was asking if you wanted to get in with him, right?
asked me if I would like to use the same attorney, yes,
Okay. And Mr. Munster is an investigator, is that correct?
correct,
A law enforcement officer.
right.
Now, ultimately, you ended up calling Rose Giansanti about that, didn't you?
I believe so.
All right. Ms. Giansanti, we spoke to her before. She is in fact an agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, is she not?
Yes, she is,
And she's one of those individuals that was in the motel room with you before.
correct,
And Ms. Giansanti, you like to talk to her about things like that, right? And she was somebody you trust.
correct,
And you called her and asked her opinion on the book and movie deals.
correct,
And when you did that, you spoke with her about some monetary figures.
something that, yeah, it was mentioned,
In fact, the figure mentioned was $50,000, correct?
that could have been, yes,
Now, you've already testified that you trusted Rose Giansanti and that you liked her, didn't you? Or you still do, right?
yes, to consider her a good friend, she's been very helpful throughout this,
Okay. Y'all have had dinner together and things like that, right?
yes,
And when you came to the deposition that we spoke of earlier in November of this year, she accompanied you to that as well, did she not?
correct,
And that was at your request.
correct,
And she had picked you up at the airport on that occasion.
yes, she did,
And again, she was here with you today, was she not?
yes,
Yeah, just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mayor Squire?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Moore, let me take you back to a discussion that you were having with Mr. Miller some time ago about an automobile that was wrecked. Let me ask you, ma'am, if I can show you what has been marked as an exhibit states PP for identification. I ask you if you can recognize that automobile.
Yes, I can.
Is that the automobile you were referring to as the car that was wrecked when you and Ms. Wuornos were in it sometime in July of 1990?
Yes,
And ma'am, let me show you what you have previously identified as states 00 for identification. And also show you what has been entered in as evidence as states 13 in evidence. I ask you if you recognize the vehicle contained in those photographs.
yes, I do.
Okay, with the exception of the gator tag not being on the vehicle in states 13 that you described as what you saw on December the 1st, 1989. I meant to say December 13th, 1989, if I December the 1st, 1989, excuse me. Is there anything about those cars that in any way resembles what is the car in states PP for identification?
No,
Talking about two different automobiles, aren't we?
correct.
And this is the car you were referring to that you had been driving in the company of Ms. Wuornos when it was wrecked.
Correct.
And that was sometime in July of 1990, wasn't it?
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
And in fact, even after that wreck, some composites came out that scared you, that were generated from the wreck that you and Ms. Wuornos had in the car.
Objection,
that
Your Honor.
states PP.
Objection overruled.
Isn't that true?
Yes, it is.
And that was one of the reasons, in addition to others possibly,
Objection to others possibly.
the defendant.
Objection overruled.
Isn't that true?
Yes,
And isn't it a fact those composites came out months after the car wreck?
Objection asked and answered leading, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
yes,
It'd be fair to say at least about a year after Mr. Mallory had been murdered.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
correct.
Now, during the time that the defendant and you were living together, did she ever come back to the apartment and discuss with you that she had been physically abused by any of her customers as she was prostituting herself?
No,
But she did discuss with you verbal abuse by them.
yes,
And that was constant. She talked about that.
correct.
She was getting sick and tired of the verbal abuse she was getting out on the highways from people who weren't accepting her proposition. Isn't that
Leading, Your
true?
Honor.
Rephrase your question.
Did she tell you why she was getting sick and tired of the verbal abuse? What was
Leading, Your
happening to her?
Objection overruled.
I really don't understand your question.
In the context of the 4.5 years that you described, you and this defendant lived together. You told us that she never once came in and told you that she had been physically abused by any of the customers or people that she had dealt with. Isn't that true?
Yes,
And during that 4.5 year period, you saw nothing from a physical basis of viewing her, with the exception of one time, I believe, when she got hit by a car on the highway on her elbow. That
Objection, Your
indicated
Honor.
she had been ever hurt by anyone. Isn't that true?
yes,
And you would have observed if she had been physically beaten up by someone. Once you saw each other whenever she was home.
Objection,
Constantly.
Your Honor. Leading, who's testifying?
Rephrase your question.
Did you have occasion to see her when she came home after her soirees out the hook?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase that question.
Did you have an opportunity to see her after she would go off for some period of time and then come back home?
yes,
And you knew that when she was going back home, she was doing what, man?
Objection, leading, Your Honor.
That's not
Objection
legal.
overruled to that question.
May we have the running objection to leading question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
They're noted.
Did you know what Ms. Wuornos' purpose was when she was leaving your home to go out on the highway, what she intended to do?
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Answer it if you can.
yes,
But you didn't know she intended to kill Richard Mallory on December the 1st, 1989, did you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained the objection.
May we have curative instruction now?
Disregard the last question, no answer.
Now, Mr. Miller suggested to you that Ms. Wuornos got moody when she drank. That's not all she got when she drank, was it?
Objection, leading, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
Is that true?
no, she was definitely a different person.
In what way was she a different person when she drank as opposed to when she wasn't drinking?
She was very sweet when she was sober, but when she was drinking, she was more outgoing and liked to talk abusive to me more. I mean, it seems like it's when we fought more was when she was drinking.
Have you ever seen her when she was drinking become aggressive towards another person?
No,
Have you ever seen her get in a fight in a bar?
Objection has to answer, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Have you and Miss Wuornos ever been in a bar out drinking together?
Objection.
When after she was drinking, she got into physical fights with other individuals?
Objection, Your Honor, to sustain.
Overruled. Answer if you can, Mayor.
no, I don't ever remember seeing her fight with anybody, no.
Now, the telephone calls that Mr. Miller referred to, you were scared, weren't you?
Yes, I was,
But you hadn't done anything wrong.
correct.
And you wanted to make sure that the police knew that you had not been involved in the shooting of Richard Mallory.
Objection leading, Your Honor.
Rephrase your question.
What did you want the police to know about what you knew about Richard Mallory's shooting?
I wanted them to know that I had nothing to do with it.
What did you want them to know about who did it?
I definitely wanted them to know who did it, that it wasn't me.
Did you try during those telephone calls to get the defendant to tell the truth to the police?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained objection.
When you were speaking with the defendant, who was doing most of the talking during those telephone calls?
She was.
And isn't it true that the defendant constantly asked you to lie for her?
Objection, Your Honor. Assuming a fact not in evidence.
At this stage, we'll sustain the objection now. Go ahead, Bill.
Can you tell this jury how many times it was that Aileen Wuornos, over the 3-day period that she telephoned you at the hotel, asked you to lie for her?
Objection, Your Honor. Just rule on it.
If you can answer the question, go ahead.
It was quite a few times.
What, if anything, did you respond to her over and over again when she asked you to lie for her?
That I would not lie for her.
And when she told her that you wouldn't lie for her, did she tell you that it was mistaken identity, that the police had the wrong woman?
Yes, she did.
Did she ever suggest to you during any of those 3 days of telephone calls to your hotel that she had been raped or harmed in any way by Richard Mallory?
No, she didn't.
Did she ever suggest anything other than she wanted you to lie for her and that it was mistaken identity? That Richard Mallory had done anything to provoke an attack by her on him?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Did she, ma'am?
No.
It isn't a fact that in any conversation you had with Detective Munster, he let it be known to you that if there was any type of deal, that he and nobody in law enforcement could ever get
Objection
one red
leading, Your Honor.
cent? This is redirect, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Isn't that true that he told you that they couldn't get 1 red cent?
Yes, I believe he said that.
And isn't it
Objection leading,
true
Your Honor.
that you told him you wanted nothing to do with the movie deal? That you didn't think it was right for anybody to get a penny?
At a point in time, yes, I did.
Have you ever taken 1 cent from anyone involving a movie deal or the knowledge you have of this case or the story or your life with Aileen Wuornos since the first day that you met with police officers and told them that she had told you about shooting Richard Mallory?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever went out and sought people for money?
No, I haven't.
You've had plenty of opportunities, though, haven't you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained the objection.
Isn't it true that you wanted to be left alone and just be able to live your life just
Objection, Your
behind
Honor.
you?
A witness on the stand, not at the podium.
Sustained the objection.
So then the defendant wrote to you and offered to pay you money, didn't she?
Yes.
And she wanted to be involved in a movie deal to sell her story,
Objection,
didn't she?
Your
Isn't
Honor.
that what she told you in her letter?
Yes, it is.
The last, sustained the objection, but the last question you asked, the answer came to.
When you ask them all together.
Right. All right.
Probably because he can't get an objection sustained, Jess. That poor defense attorney's like, every time they object, it's like, overruled, or he'll sustain like a minor one. But sometimes they're talking over each other so much, I can't understand what's happening, and the closed captions can't either. And it's kind of funny sometimes the way they word things. Yes, Carmen, I do. I have her. I'll show you real quick. She's getting sleepy. So there she is. Say hi to Carmen. Say hi to everybody else. All right, she's done. Yeah, there has been there's been a lot of objections. Like I said, the defense cannot. This judge is like overruled. It'll be interesting to see how he is when it's the defense's turn, to see if he's still overrules everything.
So when you told Aileen Wuornos that you went live for her, she then tried to come up with it was a mistake.
Correct.
Thank you very much. All a big mistake. Isn't that what she told you? It was all a mistake, a case of mistaken
Your Honor,
identity.
I object to the constant leading.
What did she tell you about what it was when she was talking about a mistake?
She said it was a mistaken identity, that they had the wrong person.
Did she tell you what she would do to the authorities if they couldn't come up with some evidence to tie her into it?
I believe she put it that she would have a big lawsuit on them.
Yes. Lawsuit happy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Objection, Your Honor. Mrs. Scribe asked for curious.
Sustain the objection, Mr. West, Honor, and Nelson. Remain quiet, sir.
We moved the lectern back.
You had just testified, Ms. Moore, that the discussions about the book and movie deal that you had with Mr. Munster were that you wouldn't get one red cent, or that no one would get one red cent. Isn't that what you just testified to?
Objection, that's not what she testified to. She testified to
What they want to do.
objection, Judge.
Oh, no.
In fact, the discussion was that only a portion of it would go to someone else. Isn't that true?
I really don't. I know that he said that they wouldn't get any money out of it.
Mr. Munster told you that.
Correct.
Okay, but he asked you if you wanted to give a portion of it, correct?
Correct.
And do you recall having a conversation with Rose Giansanti wherein you said to her, you know what I could do with $50,000? You recall saying that?
No, I don't.
And in fact, if Ms. Giansanti says that you did say that, she would not be-
Objection, Your Honor, for property. Objection.
Regarding the statements on the phone, in fact, Lee Wuornos did tell you several times that she acted in self-defense, did she not?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No questions, Your Honor. This witness is excused.
Yes, sir. I believe that you make her available for defense if the event is necessary.
We ask, Your Honor, that she remain in town for a few days, and she may be reached through the state attorney's office and counsel meeting.
Thank you.
Well, alrighty. Don't start playing. I did not give you permission. That ended better than it started. They got into some stuff, finally. That was, sometimes it was hard to hear because there's talking over each other, or at least it was for me. Maybe if I had my other headphone in, it wouldn't have been. But yeah, wow, I agree. Wow, yes, put some wheels on that thing. Yeah, it was good. I had a question. I had It left. I don't know where it went because they said something and it made me wonder, but I don't know what happened to it. I think sometimes I get maybe transfer baby brain when I have her. So I don't know. I wonder. I would say she eventually probably got money from the movie deals. It said that she had 2 books and movie, but I don't know. She's dropped out of sight, changed her name and everything else. So she's doing whatever she does. Um, yeah, I don't know. She got immunity, so I know. But yeah, that's that. That was good. The end of that was good. The attorneys arguing has been good, and um, Gabby, is that the one you were watching the other day? If you are in my Discord, Gabby is watching the Ruby Frankie oh sorry, she's very sleepy. The Ruby Frankie docuseries that's been out. That was really good. She texted me the other day. It was like, this woman. I was like, yep, they're both horrible. Both women were horrible. My thoughts on Blunt, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I'll have to see how he handles the defense because he did sustain some things there in the end for the defense. Okay, she's done. Oh, you're starting the Fox Hollow one. Also good. The Fox Hollow, the Herb Baumeister one in Indianapolis area. That's really, really good too. So if you're not in my Discord, you don't have to be a member of the channel or anything. Just hit the link. And I am going to go before she just goes into full meltdown. I'll see you guys all Monday at noon Eastern time. And have a good weekend. I apologize.